Eric Longenhagen here, Fangraphs lead prospect analyst. It's 10:50 p.m. here on the West Coast. We are now done with opening night of minor league baseball 2021, and it's time for me to decide whether to do a daily prospect notes or not. Daily prospect notes is a thing that I used to do back when there was minor league baseball before, which was just 4 times a week. I wait until all the games are done. I come through the box scores, start to whittle down the best handful of performances from a given night, and then write about those guys for the next day. This was the type of thing that when Carson Sestouli was the managing editor, that sometimes I would file at 1 or 2 a.m. my time, sometimes close to 5 a.m. East Coast time, and Buster Olney and Peter Gammons and some of those early risers on the East Coast would be up and putting up content when I'd be going to bed. And Sestouli would wake up and have a thing to edit right away. And now with Meg on the West Coast, it's not as easy. It's not as easy and clean to do that. So my process is to go through all the minor league box scores every night, and you identify guys just based on performance who are hot or whatever, or who have a big night. They strike out 12 guys over 7 innings. Maybe it's someone you never heard of, and it's just a name then to sort of run down, find someone who's seen them, ask a front office person for pitch data, anything like that. So I figured rather than do my typical thing, which would take me 4 hours to go through all the box scores, especially back when short season ball was a thing, to go through all the box scores, whittle down the dozens of tabs that end up open in my browser to a handful of guys, and then write about them, and then stash the ones who I don't have anything to write about as names to follow up on with somebody or go see or whatever. But rather than do that, I think tonight what I'm going to do is just go through the box scores and narrate it. I'm going to do this part of it anyway, and then I don't have to do all the writing on the back end. And the same thing still gets done. You guys get more information out of it, and I have to do less work. And I think that this is a task that's going to get passed off. KG will do some. I think Tess probably does some. Maybe Choi. Other people at the site might do daily prospect notes. Golowski. But for now, I'm going to try it this way. And if other people want to do it their way, the days they do it, then that's cool too. So, all right, here we go. AAA East, I guess. A lot of this is going to be new to me, and for sure there's going to be a learning curve. I haven't sat and studied flashcards about what affiliates are where now, what has changed. That's just going to kind of be washing over me now. So a lot of depth guys here in Columbus for Cleveland, especially the outfielders. So 3 for 5 night for Ben Gamel. Double. Gabriel Arias started, hit a dinger in the 7 hole, so that's good for him. Kirk McCarty, 5 innings, no Ks. Anthony Ghost, my guy. And here's another thing I don't know what to do is how much fluency do you guys have with this? Do you know who Anthony Ghost is? I hope so. Braden Shipley, once upon a time, 45 future value type guy with the D-backs, just kicking around his upper level depth now. Shogo Akiyama, 0 for 4 for Louisville. He and Mark Payton and Scott Heineman, they're upper level depth guys at this point too. That's more or less what both of these affiliates are. Brandon Finnegan, Cionel Perez, Edgar Garcia, Art Warren, same deal over here. These are post-hype reclamation types in the case of Warren and Cionel Perez. I guess Finnegan too. Finnegan looked okay when I saw him this spring. This is like the sort of role he might be okay in. But no real prospects here in this game. So let's move on to Scranton and Syracuse. Luke Voigt in the leadoff spot, DH'd. He doubled in his first AB. Miguel Andujar 0 for 4. See if he can reclaim some value by playing in the minors. Probably gets traded. Chris Gittens. Here's what I can do. Chris Gittens, man. Signed a minor league deal with the Yankees, where he's been for a while. Just one of the top minor league exit velos in 2019. I think actually he has the highest, or one of them. Torkelson's is from college, so it doesn't really count. So same thing with Kerstad. But yeah, Chris Gittens, 96 average exit velo in 2019. Tops in all the minors. So he's another one of these upper-level performer type guys who he hangs around and then has a chance to sneak up on you and be, like Nelly Cruz is the big one from the last, 20 years or whatever. David Ortiz is of this stripe. But then you have, Voigt, Garrett Cooper, Jesus Aguilar, a bunch of these guys turn into something. Not necessarily like, wow, what a historically great player, but a good big leaguer. So Gittens is kind of hanging around, maybe becomes that guy. He's old for a prospect, but he's a prospect. And then the Syracuse group, this is a bunch of the Mets minor league free agent guys from early in the offseason. Drew Ferguson, who was a Rule 5 pick once a time out of Houston system. Lefty, corner stick, not a lot of power, but can hit. Wilfredo Tovar can really pick it at short. Not a lot else there. David Grillon, fat catcher with power. There's Brandon Drury. Khalil Lee's the biggest prospecty name in this lineup. You see he's in the 6 hole, 2 punch outs for him. A lot of strikeouts from Khalil Lee. Mike Montgomery. Nick Nelson, 3 strikeouts over an inning and 2/3. Gave a couple runs. No notable performances in that game. Here's an interesting one. D. Strange Gordon with Nashville. Nashville versus Toledo, man. This is weird. Zach Short came over along with Alex Lang, and was that Castellanos for Zach Short? Cameron Maben. Okay. So Zach Short can play defense at second or short, hits the ball in the air a lot, walks a lot. He's an interesting guy, probably more like a middle infield utility piece. Isaac Paredes 0 for 5. 2 for 5 night from Cody Clemens. Jake Rogers 0 for 3, 3 strikeouts. Kristen Stewart hitting in the 8 hole. That's not great. 2 for 4 night though. Nomar Mazara with the dinger. Stewart homered as well. Matt Manning, that's the big one in this game. 5 innings, 5 earned, 6 strikeouts. Give up 3 bombs. So that's not the best. It's not like a reason, like to move this guy down or anything like that. But, the hits and the walks and the strikeout piece here seems fine. So who knows what was going on. Is there a weather report on here? Wind 11 miles per hour left to right, 60 degrees, overcast. See, stuff like this in the box score is awesome. Minor league box scores are back. All right, so not a great first start for Matt Manning, but also not really all that concerning. All right, Worcester. The Worcester Red Sox versus the Buffalo Bison, which is still Toronto or Dunedin. What a weird time. So, Jarren Duran. Let's see what Jarren Duran did here from a batted ball perspective. He 0 for 4 with a K. It doesn't really matter. We'll just wait for a sample to start to be generated. I want data. Like Jarren Duran in the Red Sox system was, contact-oriented middle infielder at Long Beach State. Was a mid-day 2 pick in the draft, and then came out and performed in a big way. And then he went to the Futures game, and to see him against all the other guys in the Futures game was kind of eye-opening in that he didn't look the part really. He's definitely got some tools, and his physicality has improved the last little bit. His swing changed at the All-Site last year, and then he went to Puerto Rico for winter ball and didn't slug. The Puerto Rican pitching, well, the Winter League pitching is not the best. There's some big league arms there. Jose De Leon, Luis Medina was there. Like, there were some dudes for sure. But in general, the pitching in the league is not great. So the fact that he did not slug there, even with this new swing, is like, all right, there's a new swing, but we don't know if it's going to alter the results at all. Now we'll start to see. But it needs time. So Duran 0 for 4 tonight. Jeter Downs 0 for 4 as well. Connor Wong. We'll see this year if Connor Wong ends up playing a bunch of different positions. He 1 for 3. Yairo Munoz, a too aggressive utility guy with power. 2 for 4 tonight from him. Michael Chavis hit a double. And then the Toronto AAA situation here is like post-hype type guys, older guys in their mid-20s. Kevin Smith, who has like kind of fatal strikeout issues. Forrest Wall, who's McDaniel special, a lot of speed, contact, up the middle type guy from his prospect days. He 2 for 4 tonight, so that's good for him. Nate Pearson, there's a big one. 3 2/3, 8 punch outs. So seems like he's fine. Tanner Houck, I dig Tanner Houck. You can see like this targeted advertising for me, I guess. Roku, sure. Tanner Houck, 3 innings, 8 hits. That's kind of a bummer. I don't know why it keeps doing this to me. It keeps moving me to the top of the screen. 3 innings, 8 hits, no walks, 4 Ks. That seems fine. I think he's ultimately a multi-inning relief piece. Maybe he's a Justin Masterson type of starter. If that's, your bag, then fine. But, you want to win a World Series. Is he in your rotation? Probably not. He's probably a nasty multi-inning bullpen weapon. All right. Gwinnett at Charlotte, 10-9. Let's see here. What kind of night did Drew Waters have at the plate? He's 1 for 6, but what was his approach like? All right, swung at the first pitch. I'm very skeptical of Waters' approach. He's tooled up and has performed, but swung at the second pitch. He doesn't seem like a dummy, but his approach is like that. Swung at the first pitch. Like, this is just the type of thing from my looks at Waters. It's like he'll go whole games and see 5 or 6 total pitches. Second pitch. And it makes me scared. All right. There you go, ran a little deeper. Swung at the first pitch. So more of the same from Drew Waters. Here he doubles. Swung at the first and second pitch. Stuff like that's kind of worrisome to me. Anything else in this game? It's just like a weird bullpen game from Charlotte, I guess. Jimmy Lambert was probably not only supposed to go an inning in the third. Kyle Muller, another one who probably ends up in the bullpen. I don't know why he keeps refreshing and moving me to the top of the screen. 3 innings, 5 walks, no bueno. So just a thing to keep watching. Kyle Muller, big time stuff from the left side, but strike throwing issues. All right, Norfolk at Jacksonville. Also strange to see these two teams together playing one another. Jacksonville is Miami's AAA affiliate. Norfolk is Baltimore's. Jacksonville used to be the AA affiliate. So Brian Miller hitting leadoff. Good for him. Guy who's sort of fallen off the prospect radar. Was an early round pick out of North Carolina for them. Lewin Diaz, 2 for 5 with a dinger. Good for him. Skeptical of the power playing there, but definitely think he's a big leader. Can really pick it lefty stick. Jesus Sanchez came over in the Nick Anderson trade from Tampa Bay. Huge power, 2 for 5 with a bomb. Tyler Nevin in the 7 hole is kind of a concern here early on. Was part of the Michael Givens trade. Very contact-oriented approach. While with Colorado, Baltimore wants him to pull the ball more. I still think he's just like, contact-oriented second division, first base, third base, corner outfield. He's 2 for 4 tonight with his first homer of the year. Does it say where he homered? Right center field. So there's another oppo dinger for Nevin. So the thing to watch for him is he pulling the ball more this year? First dinger is to right center, though. Yeah, Luis Garcia homered. I like Luis Garcia. He's another one where his approach is bad. But he's a switch hitting up the middle player with feel for contact and power. He's more doubles power guy, but I dig him. Carter Keyboom 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Keyboom's not prospect eligible anymore, but if he was, I guess I'd be 40-plussing him at this point. Like, it's been really bad. What happened here is a combination of me overrating him for sure, and the collective, like the royal prospect overrating him too. And it's just, some of it is also, this guy's vulnerable to velo that he just didn't see in the low minors. And now he sees a lot of it, and it's a real problem. So, really worried about Carter Keyboom at this point. Gene Segura rehab, 2 for 3. This is Rochester, which is now Washington, at Lehigh Valley, my old stomping grounds, which is Philly. Mickey Moe, 0 for 4. Adonis Medina, 3 innings, 6 hits, and a walk. Another guy who I think is just a multi-inning relief piece. East-west, command, change-up, fastball with lateral action, just doesn't play. A lot of the prospecty arms for Philly went tonight. J.D. Hammer. So maybe one of these guys, these names, Mauricio Lovera's stuff has never really bounced back to peak after he was kind of dinged a bunch in 2019. Yeah, this is really annoying. I don't know why my browser's doing this. All right, St. Paul. Wow, St. Paul Saints against the Omaha Storm Chasers. So this is Omaha's Kansas City, and then St. Paul is the Twins. Trevor Larnach in the 2-hole, 0 for 3. Ryan Jeffers in the 5-hole, 2 for 4 with a bomb. Brent Rooker, 0 for 4 with 3 punch-outs. Those are all big Twins prospects. Jackson Kowar started for Omaha. Wow, huge night from Kowar. 5 1/3, 2 hits, 2 walks, no runs, 9 strikeouts. Royals list just went up. I think Kowar is more likely to be a reliever eventually, just because I don't think the breaking ball has enough utility for him to start. He's a strictly worse Chris Paddock, in my opinion, just because of the way Paddock's fastball played when he was really going good is not how Kowar's plays. Kowar's got a sinker. Like, he's going to have to rely on the changeup as his solo means of missing bats, in my opinion. Whereas Paddock had the fastball at the top of the zone was a weapon for him too. Here's the Royals list just went up. And so, yeah, Kowar had, 8th, 45. This is, as a single inning reliever, as a 45 future value, I'm basically saying, hey, this is a setup guy. So I think Kowar is really good, but probably a reliever. A night like this is one of those things that's like, hey, screw you. But so great night for him. Edward Oliveira is 2 for 4 with a homer. McBroom homered as well. Kelvin Gutierrez a start at first base, which is interesting. Plus defensive third baseman. Really want to see him play some other spots. So, first base is another spot. It's not the best other spot. Try that guy at second base. I think they said when they acquired him, Kelvin Gutierrez was like, was he the Kelvin Herrera trade? I think so. They were like, yeah, this guy can play shortstop when they acquired him. And, all right, great. Play him there. I buy. Maybe he can do it. All right, Indianapolis at Iowa. Another one where it's like an old International League versus an old PCL team. Travis Swaggerty, the center fielder, first-round pick from South Alabama, 3 for 4 with a homer. He's long been a swing change / like please get this dialed in candidate. Can really play center field. Has raw power but not game power because of the swing. So that's another one to watch, like the batted ball profile as the stats pour in on the board. Stats page here. If I go to the, click on the board, minor league stats only, as this starts to fill in, you can click on the batted ball data and see, guys' ground ball rates and stuff, and the year-over-year changes to that might be an indicator that someone like Swaggerty's changed their swing. In addition to just the visual indicators, right? But for some other guys, they're going to be flagged based on the data, and then looked at visually to confirm that, yeah, indeed, the swing has changed. So good night for Swaggerty. Hope that he's one of those guys. Okay. And we're almost done with the AAA box scores already. That's pretty good. How long have I been going, I wonder? About 20 minutes? Okay. All right, so Durham at Memphis. Vidal Brujan, 2 for 4. Playing right field tonight. I expect him to play all over the place, especially on this roster. Franco at short. Taylor Walls is probably a better defensive shortstop even than Franco. And certainly better defensively at short than Brujan, who I don't think has the arm to stay there. I have, Brujan at second base, center field, here, right field. More in the Ketel Marte mold defensively, like as a fit for Vidal Brujan. So 2 for 4 from him. Kevin Padlo had a bomb. Kevin Padlo's had some back stuff in the past. His TrackMan data is pretty impressive from like a power standpoint. I think that he's got some corner utility for sure, like the Michael Brasso type of role where he plays a lot of first and third base and hits for power from the right side. Josh Lowe, 0 for 4 strikeouts. Not a great night for him. He's towards the middle of the top 100. Toolsy center fielder with strikeout issues. And then Memphis. A lot of upper-level depth guys. Lane Thomas, double and a triple and a 2 for 5 night. My boy Matt Caesar, 0 for 4. Tommy Parsons, he got a lot of innings during big league spring training. 7 strikeouts and 4 2/3 for him. He's kind of generic looking to me, but that's a pretty big number in 4 2/3. Chris Ellis, who used to be in the Cardinals system, signed after he looked good in the Dominican Winter League, like an SEC arm, sinker, depth starter type guy who looked pretty good in the DR, so they signed him to a deal. Pretty interesting. All right, so that does it for our AAA box scores for the evening. Let's head over to the AA guys. I hope it's okay that I'm using this. It seems okay. All right. New Hampshire at Portland. So New Hampshire's Toronto AA. Portland is Boston. Tristan Casas, 2 for 4. Jason Rosario, 2 for 3. Andrew Politi, sort of an interesting lower level or lower on the list type of guy. 4 innings, 7 hits, not great. 2 walks, fine. Dengi Reyes, who's like an interesting, deceptive guy who succeeded in the lower levels, moved to the bullpen here in the upper levels. Durbin Feltman from TCU. Wonder where his velo's been at this spring. When he was drafted out of TCU, Durbin Feltman was pure relief, but fast-moving type guy who then showed up in pro ball like looking not quite as good as he did at peak at TCU when he was like 4-7 with a plus slider. But struck out the side in an inning of work tonight, so he's one of those guys who I should stick on a list to check on. Who's this Logue fella? 5 strikeouts, 5 base runners, no earned. Zach Logue. 9th round of 2017 out of Kentucky. Yeah. Like the track record of him starting and like eating innings and not walking anybody here is pretty good. Yeah, I guess it wouldn't surprise me if this is one of the types of guys who had like a velo bump in quarantine. So let's see what's on my rolling notes here. All right, so this is what I like to do. I don't really know anything about Zach Logue, right? And I'll check on Durbin Feltman too. So like these are my notes, you know. So I got to check on Logue. He had a pretty good opening night here, so do that. My boy Gabby Moreno, 3 for 5. I think he's good. I think this is a big-time trade chip for New Hampshire, for Toronto. That either this guy, any of the catchers in the Blue Jays org, basically, are trade chips. They have so much depth, prospect depth at catcher, whether it's Kirk or Moreno or Adams or Reese McGuire is upper level, you know, trade fodder as well. Like, all these guys are older, ready for prime time, or soon will be in Moreno's case. And they're good. Like, I love Kirk. He's limited, and you're seeing what the limitations of his size are doing to the way he plays. Like, he's just going to DH a bunch, and that's going to hurt him overall, his value, but he's a piece, man. Like, he can rake. So Moreno might just be better, honestly. Like, his ability to catch, his athleticism, and his explosiveness, I think, is just like, he might be better than that. I got a 50 on him already. He's on the top 100, but he might belong closer to 50 overall than 100. So I did Gabby Moreno. It's nice to see him off to a strong start. On the Bo Sox side here, I've got some stories about Johan Mieses that are maybe for when he's done retiring. It's nothing bad. Like, the guy's lifestyle is, if I were a pro athlete, it'd probably be something close to what his is like. So I'm not going to judge this guy, but there are some wild stories about this cat. Costas 2 for 4, as I said. Whatever. All right, moving on. Bowie and Altoona. Taryn Vavra, another guy who came over from Colorado in a trade, up the middle type with contact skills, who I like. He went 2 for 5 last night. Robert Newstrom, big power bat from Iowa, 2 for 4 as well. Ji-Hwan Bae, 1 for 4 at the top of the Altoona. I guess this is the big story, right? Roansy Contreras came over from the Yankees in the Tyon deal. 5 innings, 5 hits, no walks, no runs, 11 punch-outs. This is a guy who's probably going to move into the top 100 at some point this year. It might be time to do it already, candidly. Came to spring training throwing serious heat in a way that, like, the Pirates didn't even anticipate. They were pleasantly surprised by it. But you know, he might be in the big leagues in September. O'Neal Cruz, 2 for 4, no strikeouts. That's big. Rodolfo Castro, Mason Martin. These are all big prospect names here in the lineup here at AA Altoona. Kanan Smith and Jigba being an 8-hole is a little bit of a worry. It makes me concerned about how he looked during the spring. What Davis is this? Is this Jonah Davis already? Wow. Jonah Davis has big swing and miss and power too, and is hitting ahead of Smith and Jigba in this lineup. It's kind of scary. Wow. DL Hall. DL Hall's name is not so unfortunate now that it's the IL, which it should be. I get why they made that change, and yeah, like, I'm glad they did that. 4 1/3, 10 punch outs for him. How long was the time of game on this one? 2:43, and had an hour and a half delay. So good for Hall and Contreras for carving in this one. It would have been a hell of a matchup to have been at. All right, Hartford and Richmond. Okay, so Hartford is still Colorado, it seems, and Richmond is still San Francisco. Okay. Hartford being Colorado, I don't know. When they realigned, they couldn't change that. It seems like a logical one to change. Ryan Rawlson, former top 100 guy who just sort of regressed and did not look great last fall. Maybe I should have been like, yeah, who cares? Just given 2020. 5 innings, 1 run, No walks, 7 punch outs, so good first start for him. This is Tristan Beck, came over from Atlanta in a deal a couple years ago. I forget what that was for. 4 innings only for him. He's a, both of these guys I think are back of the rotation type guys, not like vanilla 1 WAR types, more like in the 1.5 to 2 WAR range. They're both strong pieces in my opinion. Elihuris Montero came over in the Arenado deal, already playing first base, and played a lot of third base with St. Louis. If he keeps the body in check, I could see third base, but this is not a great sign. Jameson Hanna, 2-for-5. I forget what deal he was with Oakland. Came over, Dallas Baptist center fielder, contact-oriented guy, tweener type. Probably a 4th or 5th outfielder. Nothing really going on the Richmond side. So let's move on. Binghamton and Akron. Akron still Cleveland, and Binghamton still the Mets. So Carlos Cortez is switch throwing. Carlos Cortez played like second base and first base in the outfield in Australia over the winter, and like would change gloves. Like he can throw left and right-handed. His arm is better left-handed, but when he's playing second base, he's got to throw right-handed. So he like changes gloves. 2-for-4 last night or tonight. Wow. Tyler McGill, 5 innings, 10 strikeouts, 5 base runners, just the 1 earned. Big night for him. Eli Lingos is another Eli. West Coast Eli in the Cleveland system. We'll turn him into something great for sure. Lingos is, he's an ASU guy. I saw him a lot. He's cool because when he pitches from the stretch, like, he's so closed off, you just, like, see his back. And it's just a weird look. The guy who's got real shit in here is Juan Mota, who I've seen the coaching staff on the backfields get frustrated with. He seems like he's kind of aloof, but he is like 4-8 with a good slider. All right, so Stephen Kwan, Tyler Freeman, Bo Naylor. Nothing really notable sticking out. Freddie Fermin playing third base tonight. Okay, in the 9 hole with a double. Bunch of, Tyler Freeman, Stephen Kwan, and Fermin are big-time contact guys who Cleveland has done a good job of turning out. All right, so Tyler McGill really shoved. I have like a 40 relief grade on him. So maybe he's worth checking on too if he keeps doing this. I'm not going to add him to the list right now. I don't know anything about Logue. So he's just a higher priority. Erie at Reading. I encourage some of my friends from back home to go to this to see Riley Green. Playing center field, 2-for-5. We have Riley Green in like the 30s on the 100 right now. I think that might be low based on how he looked during Big League Spring. So he's someone who I think that will have like an itchy trigger finger on moving up just based on the vibe I got from watching him this spring. Like, he looks really great. Nothing really doing on the fight and Phil's side. Ethan Lindau's kind of interesting. 3 innings only from him. Paul Richon, a pitchability type guy from San Diego, University of San Diego. Like a mid-round pick, see if they can turn him into anything. Detroit's pitching depth is pretty good. All right, Harrisburg at the Somerset Patriots. So this is a new one. I kind of dig like the simplicity of the logo and how it's not like, all these other logos designed by the Brandiose company. They all have like the same art direction and they look like they're made to sell plush toys to kids. And it's just like one of those corporatization type of bummer things for me. But so I like this. This is pretty sweet. All right, Jackson Clough. Wow. AA. Jackson Clough was like a late round guy out of BYU. He's 23 or 4 already because he went on a mission. And here he is at AA, like has barely played pro ball, and boom. So super weird to see this, but there's a lot of that going on. Estevan Florial is kind of telling that he was demoted all the way to Double-A too. I buried him on the Yankees list. Like I just don't think he's going to hit at all. It doesn't really matter about the other stuff because he can't hit. Luis Gil, good night. 6 strikeouts, only the 1 walk. That's the number to focus on there. Luis Gil from Minnesota in the deal, big time arm, likely a reliever, but again, 1 walk tonight is a big deal. Timmy Cate, not a great night for him. Lefty, who's had some injury stuff in the past, but is high on the Nationals list for sure. Right, so San Antonio at Corpus Christi. This is Padres at Astros. Eggy Rosario, 1 for 5 with a walk. CJ Abrams, 2 doubles, 2 for 5. Yep, that's CJ. I kind of like Jack Sawinski. Like, he just hits for me, but doesn't really have any defensive value. So he's really, really, really got a mash, and I don't know if that's in there. But I dig Jack Sawinski. He's been fun to watch since they signed him. Reese Kinnear, he's going to be pretty high on the Padres list. Let me show you the rough Padres list. Here's what I've been working on. These 4 Northwest, the Northwest Valley spring training facility teams. Like, I've just been at minor league spring training games out here a lot. And it's helpful to kind of line up the guys in all the systems at once. It does add to it backloads the publication schedule because a lot of this legwork gets done beforehand. These aren't in like a precise order. They're just more in like future value tiers. But Gore's going to slide. Abrams belongs at the top. Gore's command is not there at the alt site. So he's still a 60 for me. Like, I won't slide him on the general continuum, like past Scooble, and Lacey's another one where like the command is kind of iffy, but it's huge stuff. Scooble and Lacey both have better stuff than Gore, but I still just think like he'll just start long term and be like a mid rotation guy. I just really wish that the command would come back to what it looked like it was good. I don't know. Anyway, here's Reese Kinnear, which is what brought me here. He's somewhere in this range. It's a guy with a changeup who can really pitch, and so I want to stuff that guy pretty good. They just always do well. If I think he can really start, then he probably belongs in the 45s, and if it's more of like a multi-inning relief look, then it's closer to here. Justin Lang, the big high schooler from Texas, has more ceiling, but like Kinnear's got big league utility maybe this year, so he's somewhere like maybe in here. If I think he's Dunning, then he belongs next to Dunning. Like if Dunning is the version of this with a bunch of pitches in command is just Dunning, right? And so Kinnear, it's like, are there really 3 pitches and sufficient command to weaponize them because he doesn't throw all that hard? He's a sinker, changeup, like east-west guy. But he looked good for me in the fall. Generated trade interest over the offseason. Performed okay tonight. 3 walks, 5 Ks, 5 innings. So definitely due to watch. All right, let's move on. This is the Wichita Wind Surge. I dig the color mix here. The contrasting blues, I'm a sucker for that. Springfield Cardinals. All right, so Wichita is the Twins. So Gilberto Celestino from Houston in a trade for Presley, 1 for 5. No big nights on this docket here for Wichita. Delvin Perez at Double-A feels weird to me, but here we are. It's time. 2 for 4 for him. Juan Yepes had a double. Who is this? Domingo Robles, is it? Yeah, it is Domingo Robles. So Domingo Robles, he was in the Pirates. Oregon is now in St. Louis. Was once like, hey, this guy's 19 and he'll bump 95 and he's left-handed, and it turns out that was sort of it, but had a really good first start here with Springfield, so we'll see how that goes. Josh Winder's another interesting guy with Minnesota, like who's on that starter relief fringe, but again, like one walk from him is a big deal. In 4 1/3, probably not the guy who would make the typical cut for me on a night that I was doing this back in the day. Like, I wouldn't write about him, but it's nice to see him have a good first outing. Frisco versus Midland. This is Oakland versus Texas. Bubba Thompson at the top of the lineup. Moving off of Bubba, just don't think he's going to hit. Really love the kid. He loves baseball and is just like around the field a lot for no reason other than to kind of be there. And I really like that about him, but I don't think he's going to hit. Just another one where no real notable lines here, so I just move on. Who did I do that? Angler. So this guy, Scott Angler, actually, 2 innings, 3 strikeouts for him. He's got a nasty split. Saw him a little bit this spring. Another older guy, mid-90s with a split. Some of them look like curveballs, and only the high speed was why I knew, like, oh, that's a split too. Some of them come out of his hand and look like curveballs, the way they traverse the distance between his fingers and home plate. Okay. Amarillo at Tulsa. Oh, we had a bunch of postponements. All right, Amarillo at Tulsa. Amarillo is now Arizona. Okay, used to be San Diego. I feel bad for some of my D-backs buds who have to go to Amarillo to see their affiliates now. Just can't hear myself think when I'm in Amarillo because the wind is just whipping so intensely. So Dominic Moroglio at a homer and a double. He's a catcher, so got to stay on those guys late. That's interesting that he had a good night. Jose Herrera is a dude I used to like back in the 2014, 2015 area when I was first moving here to Arizona, and he was the AZL catcher, switch hitting guy with like squat frame. So Alec Thomas 2 for 5, good for him. Ryan Noda had a home run. Ryan Noda's numbers are insane, man. Like, look at Ryan Noda's career numbers. Passed over in the Rule 5, basically traded from Toronto to LA for nothing. Some of the swing and miss stuff is a little bit concerning considering he's got no defensive value. But this offensive performance is fantastic. This guy's definitely got an idea of what's a strike or not. The stolen base totals are kind of surprising too. So, yeah, this is a statistical darling who I'm surprised that one of the lousy teams didn't give a shot to when he was freely available. I know he only played an A-ball up until this year and he was 25, but no one took a Rule 5 flyer on this guy to see how he'd perform in spring training, like, the Orioles or the Pirates. The Dodgers ended up with this guy, so following him is going to be pretty interesting. Obviously, he's in this 35-plus grouping for me and was only there in 2018. Like, I haven't put him on the list since then because people I talked to are just like, no. And I haven't seen him in person. I've seen video. But, I don't know. He's a fascinating guy. All right. Anybody else do anything here? Noda hit his home run. Gerardo Carrillo, hard-throwing Mexican kid that really worked hard to remake his body, was sort of a softer body guy. I don't think he's going to throw enough strikes to start, but he's got real stuff. Big arm strength, upper 90s, touch 100, which came from the physical makeover. He was like 3-6 and then remade his body and is now like 97 plus. So really interesting to see how he continues to develop, but I think he's ultimately a relief piece. 3 innings tonight. Northwest Arkansas at Arkansas. That is Kansas City at Seattle. Those are the 2 teams I've been working on in here. with Kansas City now done and published. So let's see. MJ Melendez, 2 for 4, homered. Homered twice. All right. MJ's got big power. He strikes out a lot. You can check the Royals list to see what I wrote about him. I think that later in his career he'll be a player of more impact, but early on probably going to be a backup just because the strikeouts are so rough, and so is the defense. Okay. And then we had a bunch of postponements in AA. All right, let's move on. Some of this redesign is nice. Don't have a lot of reason to go on MILB.com for the last 18 months or whatever. All right, Dayton at Great Lakes. Cincinnati at the Dodgers. Mariel Bautista had a double. He's got a weird swing. Good frame guy with a weird looking swing. Hitting in the 9-hole. Eric Yang homered. West Coast catcher from UCSB. Had good numbers in college. 2019 draft, I want to say. So it was one of those guys who was interesting because he's a statistical performer and not, is very vanilla from a visual evaluation standpoint. And then didn't have a 2020 season to continue to reinforce the statistical performance piece. A bunch of names here that you want to know from the Dodgers. Vargas, Pages especially. Valera, Outman to a lesser extent. Carson Taylor, certainly short track record guy from Virginia Tech who they used to pick on last year's draft. Bobby Miller, 3 innings, 5 strikeouts. Hard throwing guy from Louisville was their first round pick. Weird looking delivery, but stuff is awesome. Ultra competitive kid, like him a lot. But no really big nights from any of those guys, just names to know. Hickory at Greensboro. This is Texas at, I almost said Arizona because of Peguero, but it's Pittsburgh. Johnny Ornelas played all over the place, left field, third base. Looks like he's going to do that type of thing. He kind of looks like a Chris Taylor type of player. If it works out, if he becomes Chris Taylor, that's awesome. That's the type of role he's going to play. Has that sort of swing, has that sort of strikeout flaw, selling out for power a little bit. Chris Cease homered tonight. Looks incredible in the uniform. He's going to strike out 40% of the time. Has huge power. Can play shortstop. Keep him alive, but going to strike out a ton. Foscue, Texas's first round pick, 0 for 4 tonight. Jake Gunther came back in the Nate Lowe deal from Tampa Bay. Lost a lot of weight. Really great feel for contact. Not a lot of power. At first base, it doesn't play, but I think he's played some center field and second base during the spring, so they're going to try to slide him up the defensive spectrum, and the body's changed, so maybe it'll work. Let's wait and see. But he's got an interesting skill set. Remade his body. Now is maybe moving up the spectrum, which is interesting. Diover Peguero hit a homer. That's from the Starling Marte trade, which, man, the D-backs took a bath on that deal, didn't they? Trade a top 100 guy in Peguero and a first-round college or high school arm in Brendan Malone for Marte, and then a couple months later trade Marte for, a bounce-back arm in Caleb Smith and, a low-level relief flyer in Julio Frias, the lefty with big-time tailing fastball type guy. 2 lotto tickets, basically. Not for me, but what are you going to do? Some of that's because the ownership didn't want to pick up Marte's option. Quinn Priester, not a great night. No big deal. Opening night. Brooklyn at Asheville. Really weird to see some of these. All right, so Brooklyn is the Mets, and Asheville is... This is Houston now? Okay. Is this Houston now? Yeah. Yeah, Alec McKenna, not Ryan. All right, so Brett Beatty, 2 for 4. Ronnie Mauricio, 2 doubles. That's good. Where did he hit in the lineup? 3rd. All right, 2 for 4, 2 doubles for Ronnie Mauricio. That's good. He's gotten huge. I don't know how much power has arrived. He just doesn't look like an explosive guy, you know? I'm glad that he's got a bunch of strength now. I don't think this is going to be like a shortstop who hits 30 bombs. I think that doubles power is where it's going to end up, and it's about the hit tool now. Can he stay at shortstop with the size that he is now? Simplify the approach, hit a bunch of doubles, and make a ton of contact. Like, I think that's the avenue that I'm interested to see him take. I don't think that the Goldilocks, like when you looked at Mauricio when he was 15, and you look at Fernando Tatis when he was 15, Mauricio was the better prospect. But what Mauricio presented, the package he presented at age 15, is the type of guy who like has a chance to become what Tatis has become. Like, it is that 6'3" frame with the athleticism to stay at short, and then if he gets big and strong, and then but still stays like athletic enough to stay at short, then maybe there's 30 plus home runs and he stays at short, and like that's what Tatis is. And that's what 15-year-old Mauricio looked like he had the chance to maybe be. And instead, he's not really gained any explosiveness, even though he's added all that mass. I still think he's a good prospect, but it's not like that far end right tail outcome is it's fading away. And his middle outcome is like, this is still a passable defensive shortstop who's got some like a well-rounded skill set. Like, that's still a good player. But the superstar piece here seems to be, it's ending. A bunch of 1-for-4s on the Astros side. No one really interesting in the, who's this? Josh Walker, 26, 5 innings, no hits, 1 walk, 8 punches. Well, I'll check on this guy. All right, some interesting stuff. Some interesting stuff on opening night. Rome versus Winston-Salem. That's Atlanta. Is it still the White Sox? Yeah, Len Sosa. Which Mieses is this? Luis Mieses? Luis Mieses is a big guy. Homer and a triple for Luis Mieses. He's a dude who I've been on for a long time just because he looks like a beast in the uniform. He's one of those low ball swing type guys where he connects and it looks super sweet. It's that like Griffey uppercut style swing. But guys like this get paved at the top of the zone by velocity because their swing is geared for low ball contact. But good to see Mieses triple and a dinger tonight. He's another one where I'm gonna check on it just because the frame and the power. If something changed with his swing or something like that, like he could blow up pretty fast. I did not see him at all this spring during minor league spring training. Okay. Bryce Elder. Hey, Archie's home. I'm sitting in my yard and talking out loud, and the cat's been roaming the neighborhood as he does. And hey, buddy, you in a fight? You look clean to me. Archie comes home sometimes like his late. He didn't come home until 1:30 last night, which was not the best. I had to go haul his ass out of the neighborhood. All right. Aberdeen at Wilmington. Rutledge pitched. All right. Well, so this was a good get for our buddy Keith Law. Grayson Rodriguez versus Jackson Rutledge. Neither of them performed well. I guess Grayson did. This is one where I'll just call Keith tomorrow and be like, hey, how do these guys look? But Johnny Reiser, who's an interesting kind of sleeper from TCU, he homered tonight. So did Kyle Stowers, a guy who I like out of Stanford with a really athletic swing. Check the. I should, yeah. All right, Lansing at Lake County. This is Cleveland at Oakland. Michael Goldberg really impressed me this spring. Just good plate coverage. He can really run. He's a smaller guy, but I like him. He might be something. Drew Millis can really catch. Another guy with an athletic swing, but not a lot of power. But I like Millis as well. Kobe Vance DHing, second and third base. Compact little guy, really competitive, explosive. You hope that it's like a six bat who can play second and third base, and then he's a 40 utility type guy. And then Diaz is another one where there's no physical projection, but he's young and has feel to hit and has been that guy for a while now. So he's one of those where the models like him, I think, because of his age and the contact piece, and the upside is limited. But if he ends up being a six bat or something like that, then he's a big leaguer. So there are a couple guys like that in the Oakland system. The Oakland system's okay. It's definitely in the bottom third. Dalton Sawyer struck out the side tonight. Had a velo spike for me this spring. Was like a lefty pitchability guy in the upper 80s before he blew out. Then, I haven't seen him forever. And he was up to 94 a lot for me this spring, which is not big in the grand scheme of things, but it's big for him. And I like the secondary stuff and his feel for it. So it's a one-inning stint that he's been doing that in. Like him more as like a swing man, long man. It seems like that's not happening anymore. This is scary for Hunter Gaddis. Hunter Gaddis was Cleveland's fifth rounder out of Georgia State, the Panthers. It's a pretty underrated program. Really ballsy non-conference schedule for those guys this year. This guy's got a dirty changeup. He's like in the mid-90s with a really good changeup when I first saw him. And the question is it a starter? Is it reliever? And this is a clunker start. This is kind of scary. 7 hits, no strikeouts. That's kind of a bummer. So if that continues, that's kind of terrifying, actually. My boy Brian Rocchio, 2 for 4. And we'll move on. Hopefully as I go here, like people's feel for the players and my feel for what I should be saying about the players will improve. Like I know what I know about the players, and so when I say like some of the stuff in my head, I don't know how much background some of you people might need on this. Like Hylan Ortiz, like I know who Hylan Ortiz is off the top of my head, and I feel like most of you do too. Like he was like a $4 million international signee, so I don't feel like I need to say that stuff, but maybe I do. He went 2 for 3. Playing right field still. This is like a giant beast of a young guy. He built like Jose Abreu at 18 years old. Bryson Stott over 3-2 punch-outs. Hudson Valley's gone from the Rays Penn League affiliate to the Yankees High A affiliate, so that's weird. No notable performance. Oh, there we go. Luis Medina, 4 innings, 1 hit, 8 Ks. Yep. Back of the 100 type guy on that starter reliever line because of strike throwing. Ben Brown, here's another one that I gotta probably run up the flagpole. Big time velo spike. I don't think he was even on the Phillies list. I think I whiffed on him. But athletic, well-built guy, good arm action, had a velo spike, should check on it. Dominic Pipkin in relief, so I'm noting that. High school projection arm, who was like a late day 2 overslot pick. 6'4", really looks the part in the uniform. Was up to 96 as a high schooler. Sometimes he was like in the low 90s only. But interesting to see him being deployed in relief here. Like a 20-year-old now who's still like a body projection guy. All right, so South Bend and Quad Cities. They got to flip these logos. They're in the wrong spot. Quad Cities is now Kansas City. Jason Guzman, I like him quite a bit. I think he's at least a good utility guy. If not, maybe a low-end regular at short. Sort of in the same value realm there. Michael Massey playing second base and hitting third. Lefty stick, compact guy. Nothing really interesting going on here. DJ Wilson had 2 doubles. Former, I want to say like $1 million high schooler. Speed, power, strikeouts. Body kind of backed up on him. Not really a prospect anymore, but they had 2 doubles tonight. Angel Zerpa, pitchability lefty who's on the Kansas City 40-man. Saw him this spring, 91-93 with late tail. Above average changeup, above average breaking ball, above average command. Love guys like this. Going to play a role on a pitching staff. 7 punch outs tonight. Yohansi Morel used in relief. That's another interesting one. Low 90s, splitter. A guy they traded for from Washington. Maybe he was Kelvin Herrera on his own. I'm forgetting. Peyton Remy. All of these, Peyton Remy struck out 6 over 4 2/3. Peyton Remy was a junior college guy, Central Arizona. It was like 91, 94 there. Stuff was okay. It was like a bunch of 45s, and now all the Cubs guys are throwing harder. Like, they hired, what's his name, Derek Johnson, I think. I don't know if he's had anything to do with it or if it's just random that a bunch of their guys got in the gym during quarantine and came back throwing harder. This guy, Kane Euchert, too, was like up to 97 for me from the left side during the spring. Yuri Ramos was up to 99. There's just a bunch of these guys are throwing way, way harder now. And so I didn't see Peyton Remy this spring. He had interesting elements as an amateur and like young pro, like a bunch of 4s and 5s, enough that I wrote him up when I saw him at Central Arizona. And now everyone in the system is throwing harder, and I didn't see Remy this spring, so he might be too, and I don't know. So I'm putting him on the list of guys to check on. All right, Fort Wayne is Detroit. Western Michigan is still San Diego. These old traditional Midwest League teams. Bunch of offers. On the Western Michigan side, Torque, 0-for-3 with 3 punch-outs. Yikes. This guy, Reynaldo Ilarraza, I might have to check on. I saw a little bit of him this spring, and he looked pretty good. I've seen him in the past. He's one of those medium-framed guys who has put on, like, strength. He's not obviously physically projectable. What kind of performance has this guy been like? Reynaldo Ilarraza. Passed over in the 40. Kind of scattered, like, where the performance has been at. He walks at a 17% clip in 70 games? I don't know. This is kind of weird. Let me look at some of this data. Just taking it through my process. I hope this is fucking interesting. I don't know. If you're this deep into it, you're goofing off at work or whatever, like, that's cool with me. This is TrackMan data from a couple years ago. I don't mind you seeing it now. It takes a lot of work to try to put some of this stuff together. Reynaldo Ilarraza. Alright, so yeah, his expected stuff from 2019 is not the best, so I don't know. He's hitting at the top of the order, though. Switch hitting bat. He's just one to watch. Like, I'm kind of monitoring how he performs. Nobody else really did anything. Yeah, this Elliott guy, is he Tim Elliott or Ethan Elliott? Here's like my notes. This is what I send scouts and executives and stuff, and I'll add names and fill notes in as they're talking to me, and they can see me moving players around on the list and stuff. Helps us to be looking at the same stuff. So Ethan Elliott, 88-92 plus change, low release. That's going to help with his fastball playing. This is a guy who came up on the phone with a scout. 4 innings, 9 punch outs tonight. So he's one of those where he'd get written up, for tomorrow's daily prospect notes, where I'm doing it the old way. But yeah, he's definitely a helium guy. I got to make a point to try to run somebody down who saw him as I've been working on the Padres list. He's in the 35 pluses as like, hey, this guy is, you know, it looks like an Ord guy on the face, but has this changeup and his, you know, command makes it so that he's got a shot. Did Archie leave again? He came out and said hi to me, and then I think he might have left again. But now, you know, like this performance, it's like maybe he belongs higher than that. I don't think I want to stick him. Like Pedro Avila looked pretty good this spring. Espinoza still has decent stuff. Mason Thompson still has good stuff. Reggie Lawson's stuff is still fine. These are all big league relievers for the short term. Like, does this guy have more ceiling than that? Does this guy go, you know, is he Reese Kinnair except a couple levels below? You know, where it's pitchability enough that you think he can start, but he's just like a couple levels behind that guy and belongs behind him somewhere for that reason. If you told me he could start for sure, then I think I'd take him over. Like, some of these guys don't belong up this high. I don't know why they're up here. So he's you know, where he ends up falling in the next week or so on the Padres list is still kind of up in the air. But he's an interesting name to know. All right. Peoria at Cedar Rapids is still St. Louis at Minnesota. Yeah, this is like the early season Midwest League box scores to a T, man. Like, no one hits. It's freezing. All the poor Latin American kids are like wearing ski masks. Spencer Steer with a 2-for-4 night. Yeah, these are just like the lines you just kind of toss out. Like, whatever. Ian Bedell didn't get out of the first. Whatever. Beloit at Wisconsin. This is Miami now at the Brewers. So Garrett Mitchell, 1-for-3. Hayden Cantrell with a 2-for-3. 2-for-3. Hayden Cantrell was the Louisiana Lafayette later pick from last year's draft. Yeah, David Hamilton finally played a pro game. Shortstop from the University of Texas who blew out his knee and then didn't play in 2019 and then didn't play in 2020 for obvious reasons. So just has never, like, he's been in the org for a couple of years and has played big league spring training games, but has never played an affiliated ball for the Brewers until tonight. So that's really cool. Bunch of offers again. Like, again, these are the Midwest League box scores, man. Zach McCambley is a great curveball out of Coastal Carolina. 7 punch outs for him tonight. Victor Castaneda, I saw him this spring. He looked bad, but had a great night tonight. 5 innings, 8 punch outs, 2 base runners only. Good for him. Good, like low 90s with a split from Castaneda plus split. Breaking balls, not the best. Really want to see him in a bullpen where the velo, I'm hoping, will take up. And that and the split will work in a single inning. Lower leverage guy. All right, so here's Tri-City Dust Devils at Vancouver Canadians. And this is... so the Canadians are still Toronto. Okay, and now Tri-City is the Angels? Yeah, looks that way. Jordan Adams? Yeah, all right. So is this Brendan Davis? Like the guy from, used to be with Texas? Yeah. All right, so the Angels do a lot of this where they, like, take post-hype guys. Brendan Davis is another one of these, like, previous Rangers strategies where they would trade for guys like Davis and Pedro Gonzalez and these big frame toolsy guys with power and strikeouts, and none of them worked out. And so they moved on from Brendan Davis, but here he is. The Angels like to sign a lot of these guys and see if they can, like, change something. So Brendan Davis, 4-for-5, double, homer, no strikeouts. So maybe he has changed. I did not see Angels at all this spring. And if none of the Blue Jays guys did anything. Eugene and Spokane. This is San Francisco at Colorado. Patrick Bailey, 3 for 5 with a dinger. He's really good. Also a likely top 100 guy at some point this year. Hey, there's Archie again. He's just kind of pacing around. Oh, now he's stalking something. Okay. There's a black cat in the neighborhood that fights my cat son and like has mauled his ear. And so like I'm on high alert when I want him to have a high quality of life and like go roam the neighborhood and experience stuff and not just be forced to be in my house all the time. But I also stress about him getting hurt. Helcrease Olivares, young lefty with big stuff. Yeah, whatever. 3-7 this spring. Riley Pint, how did he do? All right. Riley Pint got through an inning, only walked one guy. Good. Fingers crossed for Riley Pint. Seems like a nice young guy. Whoa, Trey Killian. Is this Trey Killian? Caleb Killian? Caleb Killian. So I saw Caleb Killian in the fall, and I don't know, he was okay, like 91, 93 with like, I don't know, like an average breaking ball, and you know, he was okay. This is a big line from him, so it's Caleb Killian. So already on opening night, like at a half dozen guys, we got to try to run some stuff down on. How long have I been going? Let's see the screen record. Whoa, over an hour. Yep, this is what it is, folks. Like, typically after this, I would write something, and you could digest it in 5 minutes. And now instead, you'll have to digest it in an hour and a half. Maybe that's not the best. Blaze Alexander, huh? Another homer. Someone texted me. Oh, it was Passon. Passon was at a spring training complex to do a story on Drew Robinson, and he was hanging out and watching some of the minor leaguers play, and Blaze hit 2 bombs. I saw a little bit of the D-backs this spring, but not a lot, so not enough to like move my thoughts on Blaze, but it's nice to see that he had a good first night. Shortstop, 70 arm, has some pop, a lot of strikeouts, but again, you know, we can play short, so if you're a 3-bat and hit for power at short, that's something. Corbin Carroll, 1 for 4. Luis Frias, big time arm strength, splitter, breaking ball, relief look, 3 walks tonight in 5 innings, 6 punch outs. Matt Brash, big spike in stuff for Seattle. And here's the other Elliott. This is Tim Elliott, who they kind of like as well. Saw a little bit of Elliott this spring, didn't blow me away, but 8 punch outs in 3 2/3. Where are my notes on him? Yeah, Tim Elliott. He's just sort of existing as a name. I got notes in the notebook. He was like sitting 3s and 4s. I don't know. Maybe I need to text somebody about him again and see exactly what that's like. Probably should at least go in the 35 pluses down here. Yeah, like I'd probably take him over Kerr and Fletcher. Like they're sort of the same type of guys. Where there's velo, it's left-handed. None of those guys are performing like this. But yeah, Brash plus secondary stuff up to 100 this spring. Came over from San Diego I think he was like a smaller part of the Nola trade last year. All right. Am I done? Is that it? Was this Low-A? Low-A Southeast. That's right. All right. All right, let's do Low-A and then call it a night. Then we'll end with some minor league video. You know I like to stick minor league video on here, and then we'll upload this, and I'll write a couple paragraphs, and then Meg will have something nice and easy to edit in the morning. And you guys can goof off at work or whatever you're going to do when you listen to this. All right. Low-A, Fort Myers. I'm going to go see my Uncle Greg and Aunt Liz and my cousins. They'll live in Fort Myers at some point, hopefully this year. Maybe during instructs or something. Get in and see these guys. Willie Joe Gary Jr. lead off, 1 for 3. Toolsy High School guy. Day 3 overslot pick from a couple years ago, Willie Joe Gary Jr. 1 for 3 with a bomb tonight in the leadoff spot. Keone Cavaco, no strikeouts. That's nice. Aaron Sabato, man, I don't know. His body looked scary bad to me this spring in the big league games on TV. I'm really scared of what his body looks like. Edouard Julien, the positionless Canadian, with a stick from Auburn. Interesting buy low guy out of the draft a couple years ago. 2 for 4 night for him. Reggie Grace. Look at Gus Varland. Came over from Oakland in... this is not... Wait. This is his brother, Louis Varland. Whoa. All right. So the Varlands. All right, so Louis Varland, huh? Good for him. So yeah, I know about Gus Varland because he was with the A's. Oh, that's right. Gus was traded to the Dodgers with Noisy. So this is his brother from Concordia St. Paul. He's like cold weather schools. All right. Yeah, who knows? I don't know anything about Louis other than he's Gus's brother. I knew that Gus had a brother that was in pro ball, that went to school with him, but I don't know anything about him from a scouting standpoint. And I certainly would not have expected him to, strike out 10 over 4 1/3. I know it's Low-A from a 23-year-old, but I wonder how that looked. It was on TV too at Bradenton, so there's a way to watch that. Can we watch this real quick? How did this look? Can I open this in a new tab? I'll probably get in trouble for rebroadcasting some of this, but no one will know. It's this deep. People deserve a reward for sticking around this long. All right, Jupiter at St. Lucie. This is Miami at the Mets. Osiris Johnson, 2 for 3 with the home run. It'll be interesting to see him perform. One of the younger guys in the draft a couple years ago out of the NorCal High School. One of the most electric swings from that draft. Just like max effort, huge rotation, really letting it rip type swings. Pete Crow Armstrong, 2 for 5. That's a nice little debut for him. Zach Ashford was one of the senior signs that the Mets took when they pushed a lot of their bonus chips into the Matt Allen basket. He's pretty hitterish, so 3 for 4 is a good start for him. Even though, look, it's Low-A. This guy's a senior sign. It's not a great assignment for someone like this. He should rake. Francisco Alvarez, 4 for 5. Yeah, he would definitely get written about. He's a potential star. Any of the arms down here? This is Yoander Suarez, huh? 4 walks and 4 2/3. And then what Perez is this? Hey, buddy. Can I put a collar on you if you're going to go back out? Or do you want yogurt and you want to go to bed? That's what Daddy's going to do soon. Okay, this is the ultra projectable kid, Yuri Perez. Okay. Yeah, so check out the Marlins list to learn about Yuri Perez. He's fascinating. I juiced him pretty good. Only 3 innings in his debut, but his workload's got to take up pretty slow. Yeah, Archie's biting my shins because he wants yogurt. Hold on, buddy. There will be yogurt, I promise. Daddy's going to look at Louis Varland first. This is like the jankiest thing I'll ever have published on Fangraphs, but whatever, I'm trying something. Hey, buddy. Load. Am I too far from the Hey! Why won't this load? I don't really feel like cutting any of this out. Watch out here. Alright, well, this is being a pain. Your patience will be rewarded. Alright. Whoa, that's violent. Wow, that's violent. And so, like, just my process for this is, like, I can text someone with the Pirates, you know, or email someone with the Pirates and make sure that some of the velos that we're going to see down here are real. Wow, that's viciously violent. So just based on what I'm seeing with this guy, like his age and how violent his delivery is, he's for sure throwing hard, and maybe if he keeps performing, certainly if he keeps performing like he did tonight, then he should go on the list. But I'm not going to do anything more than 35 plus this guy. This is a definite relief look. No one with a delivery like this has ever started a Major League Baseball game ever. But he's definitely throwing hard and performed like he did tonight. So if he keeps doing that, then sure, he belongs somewhere on there. But I would never do anything more than 35 plus a guy like this. This is, my arm hurts looking at this guy. And these sliders that we're seeing aren't the best. So there you go, Louis Varland. All right. Daytona at Palm Beach. Here's another sneaky thing to do. I'm not going to describe it. Let's see if people can watch it. Yeah, I use the Microsoft default browser rather than like Chrome or whatever. So if I go to the game feeds, they added all those things this spring. Just go to a random game, whatever. Ho ho ho, baby. Oh, baby. So good. Oh, it's so good. Oh, fucking awesome. I'm so happy about this right now. Look at this. Edwin Nunez throwing smoke. Nick Iverson also throwing smoke. Who's this guy? Vincent Timpanelli? All right. Oh, he has spin rates too. Look at this, people. Carson Rudd can spin it. How about this? I don't know how many people got to this point in the video, but you were gifted this. Isn't that a neat little trick? Isn't that sweet that we can do that now? Very exciting. Very, very exciting. So how hard is this, the game that Walker hit a ball out, right? So how hard did he hit it? I thought he homered in this. What was the deal with this? Didn't he hit a bomb? Didn't he homered, so what's the deal? Anyway, that's awesome. I'm so glad that that's a thing. Okay. All right, Lynchburg at Fredericksburg. Gotta come up with better names for some of these towns. What were we thinking? Mid-Atlantic. It's a burg that Frederick settled. Get out of here. Who's this? You can tell I'm like losing steam and getting punch drunk. It's been a while. Like my stamina for doing this, to just gonna sit and like do this for 2 hours. Jonathan Rodriguez, duh. This is one of the guys who Cleveland drafted, who was 17 on draft day out of high school, Puerto Rican high school, the Beltran Academy. Good framed prospect, and you can see where the performance has been for a corner guy. Like this is okay from a performance perspective, and from a tool standpoint, he's in this realm too, where it's like, it's a bunch of 4s and 5s, and in a corner it doesn't really play. But the frame is good, and you can kind of stay on him and keep him alive and see if anything happens late. It's weird that he's playing third base, so I don't know how that looks, but that's the thing to monitor. Yankenzie Noel, 3 for 5. What did he do power-wise? Planes homered. Noel homered, and he had a double. I don't know who this is. Yankenzie Noel had big boy exit velos for a young player. Oh, this guy's 23. Okay. Don't worry about that later. Yankenzie Noel. Okay, let's go to Yankenzie Noel. Yankenzie Noel I saw a lot in the 2019 AZL. Performed pretty well. He did in the DSL the year before too. It is, right first base, but he hits the hell out of it for his age. So he's interesting. Got to keep performing because it's first base, but he's done it so far, and the power is legit. It's like, remember, people listening to this probably know who Blaze Jordan is. To see Blaze Jordan during the summer before his draft spring, like on the showcase circuit, and then drop into the AZL and see a guy like this, it's like, Blaze Jordan's famous, but this guy's the same type of player. Like they're in the same bucket. And one of them's famous, and the other one's this guy, who maybe you haven't heard of until this moment. But this guy's got real juice. He's another one where, like, the exit velos, if you go to the board, for his age in 2019, they were pretty big. Okay, let's move on. Tampa at Dunedin. Tampa's the Yankees, of course. Wow, big-time offensive night for the top of the Tarpons order. And then Dunedin is the Jays. Matt Sauer started. Matt Sauer, NorCal, high school arm. Second round of the draft a couple years ago. I think he got $1 million. Something close to it if it wasn't $1 million. His delivery was violent, but it also looked a lot like Scherzer's. So, then he blew out. So, rehabbed velo was mostly back. That came from Sauer's agent, who was like, yeah, I saw Sauer's agent at a high school game in January, and he told me Sauer's velo was back, and I confirmed that with somebody else. But Anthony Volpe, their first-round pick from a couple years ago, New Jersey high schooler. Excuse me, now I get the hiccups. You have to say excuse me for the hiccups. Can really pick it, contact-oriented guy, not a lot of impact. Double and a triple here. Trevor Hauver, two bombs. I wonder how he looked at second base. Is there a video of this too? Not really efficient to kind of like going through, and no feeds available. To go through and like find all the second base plays that Trevor Hauver made, but Hauver would probably make the write-up tomorrow. 2 bombs, playing second base. He played second base, or he played shortstop in high school here in Arizona. And because he went to ASU and like Torque was there, and Alika Williams was there, and Drew Swift was there and is still there, and Gage Workman, like these are all guys who Torkelson, he can't play defense, but Workman and Swift and Alika, they're all good defenders. And this guy, however, had no business playing the infield. This is awesome, by the way. Isn't this awesome? It's not right, though. Something's not right because Walker's homer's not on there. So maybe don't trust that stuff yet. But however, he walks a lot. He has some pop. If they can move him back up the defensive spectrum to second base, then it's going to be pretty interesting. But he's got to play there. If he can't play there, then he sucks in the outfield. So he's got to be acceptable at second base to be anything. There's a chance. And then Austin Wells, another one. Like, this is a big night for these guys offensively in Tampa. It's good for the Yankees fans. Down east, the Wood Ducks at the Kannapolis Cannonballers. Kannapolis Intimidators was cool. They should have kept it. This is kind of sweet, too. Like, I don't like a lot of this grandiose nonsense, but this is kind of cool. Cannonballers. It says ballers on the uniforms, which, like, a lot of the kids think is sweet, and so I'm all for that. All right, down east, Evan Carter was elusive for me this spring. 3 walks for him tonight. Hey, quit biting me, dude. I know you want yogurt, but I got work to do. Benjamin Bailey's there, okay. That's Owen White. Owen White over here in the Down East box score. Rehab, when he's not rehabbing anymore. High school guy who had Tommy John, was a good high school prospect out of North Carolina. 90 through 95 in my looks this spring. Could really pitch before his injury. Andrew Dalquist only an inning and 2/3 tonight. Who's it? 9 strikeouts from a Burke? What Burke is this? Jeremiah Burke, Georgetown, 2019, 17th round. 9 punch-outs. Okay, well. Don't know anything about Jeremiah Burke, but we're going to soon. Lakeland and Clearwater. Hey, Johan Rojas, 2 for 5. Tooled up Philly center field prospect. Pretty raw. There's Luis Garcia. Nice to see him perform after he really super duper flopped when they pushed him a little too far to Lakewood in 2019. He was a teenager in full season ball and just couldn't perform. Okay, nobody really doing anything over there. Gunnar Mayer's an interesting West Coast junior college arm. Was 19 when they drafted him. Needs a lot of work, but the frame and the delivery and the arm strength are right. So see how that goes for the Phillies. Carolina at Fayetteville. Fayetteville's okay. I had a nice regional experience in Fayetteville the one year. It's a nice little college town. There's like a cafe by campus, like a breakfast spot. They have live music. No one really performing here. This kid, Yohan Cruz, he's young for the level. He's got a plus changeup. This is the only guy that I saw strike out Tyler Soderstrom this spring. 5'9", so he's got the low release height thing happening artificially. Was a lot of 91, 93. The breaking ball is not great. The changeup's really good. So he's interesting. He'll probably be in the 35 pluses. Maybe he's a low 40, but this is a pretty big performance for him. He maybe would have made it right up too just because I saw him fresh, like last week. Saw him. Abner Uribe can really throw hard too in this game. Okay. Ooh, Tamara's through. And not well. This is my last guy? Nope. All right. All right, Charleston and Myrtle Beach. These are the Rays guys versus the Cubs guys. Ed Howard, 1 for 4. Jason Santana. Oh, I love it. You love Jason Santana, dude. Okay, Jose Albertos has been in the bullpen now. John Doxakis, 4 innings. 2 hits, no runs, no walks. Lefty pitchability type guy from Mississippi State. Another one of these lateral action command guys that the Rays seem smitten with. Good opening night for him. Lake Elsinore at Visalia. Some of the Visalia hats that have like the steer on them are sweet. Bob Hassel, 3 punch outs, 0 for 4. A lot of swing and miss from him this spring. Swing is just really north-south right now, really trying to sell out for power. Don't love it. This guy is kind of interesting too. Uriabel? I think it might be Uribiel. Uribiel Angeles. Like, there are lots of Uribels and like, but I don't know if this is, which syllable here is accented. This guy had an interesting look during the spring. He's like a smaller, compact frame, contact-oriented guy. He's at Elsinore at 18. He's hitting second in the lineup. You know, it's an offensive-friendly environment. This might be like a pump-and-dump situation that the models are going to be tricked and be into this guy when they shouldn't be. He looked okay. Valenzuela is the one where I think it might be real. Not big impact. He did homer tonight, but he's just a physical catcher. Like, he's a good-bodied, athletic catcher. And I like to keep those guys. They have value. Catching's bad at the big league level. This is Levi Thomas. This is Thwaites, Michelle Miliano. Still not throwing strikes. This Pope guy with the D-backs, his fastball's got real carry. Doesn't really have a whole lot else going on, but his fastball's got big-time carry. Fresno at San Jose. So Fresno has been demoted. This is the Ezekiel Tovar kid who's got a good feel for contact with Colorado. 3 for 5 from him. Hey, Bryling Eusebio. 5 innings from Bryling Eusebio. Longer arm action lefty in the Rocky system. Was hurt a bunch. Command, not good. Rockies aren't good at developing pitching. So at one point, he was like a lefty with 3 average or better pitches. The changeup would flash above. He'd show you 96. And then he got hurt and just never developed because the Rockies can't develop anybody. Against the Giants guys here. I got a text from someone who's seen Luciano recently who says the at-bats are not good right now. That's kind of what I saw in some of the big league games that I saw him in, but he was a teenage kid in big league games, so I didn't really think anything of it. But that's the thing to watch. Canario 2 for 2 with a double and a triple. Alexander Canario, huge bat speed guy with a lot of strikeouts. Not a lot of confidence in his hit tool. Gigantic power, though. All right, Modesto at Stockton. This is Oakland at Seattle. A lot of offers on the Oakland side, including my boy Brian Buelvas, who's in left field. Who dares supplant him from center field? Junior Perez. Get out of here with that. Buelvas. Modesto. Yeah, De Los Santos is kind of interesting for them. 4 innings, 6 punch outs. Look for him on the Mariners list to come. Noel V. Marte just 1 for 4. All right, and our last one for the night, Rancho Cucamonga at Inland Empire. It's appropriate that the Cal League teams are the last ones that I speak to because they're typically the ones who I wait to finish before I start to check all the box scores. And Blake? Who is Blake? 5 innings, 8 strikeouts for Blake. Andrew Blake. NC State. Yeah, he's probably someone I should know. Big conference guy. All right, so I got a bunch of older pitchers to try to run down stuff on in the next little bit. You know, like, when I wake up tomorrow, it's not like the first thing I'm going to do is, like, text people to try to find someone who saw these guys. This list just exists and grows and changes as the season progresses. And as I'm on the phone with people or even if I'm just like watching games, sourcing data, whatever it may be, I just like dig on these guys. I make it a point if I'm on the phone with someone who's like, oh yeah, I've been here or there, to ask them about some of them. And then, like, as you saw with Louis Varland, it's, you can just do it, right? There's some notes on Louis Varland, mid-90s violence, below average slider. I just start to flesh this stuff out as I go, and it makes its way to the board eventually. All right, so let's see. Who performed tonight that would have been on the thing that I've seen recently? I'm just going to take you now to finish up the day to here's some video from minor league spring training. Let's do, did anyone perform tonight that I shot? You're just going to see, here's from the co-op again. Here's a video from the co-op, which took place between big league and minor league spring training. It was really interesting to see the teams in the West Valley come together in a Voltron rosters together so that kids could keep playing.
I'll take it into the opposite side because it's the top side. Can't get people to this.
Yeah.